Hey YouTubers. This is Valerie with Money Mindset Coach, and I talk about frugal things, saving money, how to save, pretty much anything to do with money. And I am a woman of a certain age that is divorced after a long-term marriage. I am financially on my own, and I just want people to know that you can do this. Whether you're a woman, a man, it doesn't really matter, because I hear from both. A lot of times they'll say, I'll never be able to buy a house. I'll never be able to do this. I'll never be able to do that. Well, the way I look at it is, if you take care of your four walls that basically Dave Ramsey talks a lot about, but these come down to necessities. And so basically, what are your four walls? They're your rent or your mortgage. If you want to live somewhere and not live under a bridge, you're going to have to pay your rent or you're going to have to pay your mortgage. So, number one, got to have a roof over your head. Food, you have to eat. Now that can be, the food category can be quite crazy. You could spend way more on food. That's why you have to have a specific amount per month that you spend on food, because that category can get out of control, because it is a variable one. Your mortgage or your rent is what it is. Okay, transportation. You got to be able to get to work. So if you have a car payment, you've got to make that. You have to insure that vehicle. Can't run around without insurance. And you need to put gas in it. So that's another one. And then you've got your utilities. You got to have the lights. Got to have, those are necessities. You got to pay the gas, the electric, the water, the trash, the internet. I mean, some people, I guess, could get away without having internet, but it's 2025. And so, yeah, everybody's got a cell phone. Oh, that's the other thing that you would put in there is your cell phone bill. Got to have communication. Those are your bare basics. Bare basics. Now, what you need to do is add all of those up. Add them up. Just those. And then subtract that amount from the money that comes in every month from your job. Maybe you have other sources of income. If you're older like me, maybe you have Social Security. Put it all down. What comes in as far as income? You subtract the four walls, and what that adds up to, you subtract from that. Okay, what do you have left? What do you have left? Do you have anything left? If you don't, you need another source of income, or you need a job that makes more money. Some of this is going to tell you a few things, number one. But if people just take care of the four walls, they don't go out to eat, the clothes you have in your closet, you don't need any more. You have enough clothes to put on your body. A lot of people think they need to go buy clothes, but they're buying clothes because they want to, not because they have to. If you've got a winter coat, if you've got a jacket, if you got what you need. You don't need to go buy anything. So, no clothes. I get my hair cut every 3 months now. So, during the 3 months in between haircuts, that's extra money that I have. I just think that too many people think, oh, I don't have any money at the end of the month, or there's too much month at the end of the money. You have to look at where your money is going. Now, you can cut right to the 4 walls because you all know what that is. You all know what your rent is, what your mortgage payment is, what your car payment is. Y'all know that. You can add this up pretty fast. Aside from what you spend on food, make a budget for that. But then everything else. Now if you do have debt, like credit cards, I forgot about that. Make your minimum payments on your credit cards. If you're in a situation, if you have debt, and I don't think it matters how much debt you have, if you only spend the 4 walls and then you do minimum payments on your credit cards, and then you see what's left, okay? You can do the snowball method on your debt. You take the lowest debt amount and you put all you can towards that smallest debt until that debt is paid off. Then you take what you were paying on that debt and add it to the next one. And you do the same thing, and then you add it to the next one. So what you're creating is a snowball. So by the time you get to the top one, whatever that is, you have more money going to pay it off, which will pay it off sooner. Dave Ramsey believes in the smallest debt instead of the biggest interest rate, because if you have a card that has an interest rate that's really high and you have a $5,000 balance, you're going to be stuck paying that one for a really long time. The snowball method really only works when you do the smallest to the largest and you go from bottom up. It's the only way that it works. You get that small win, you got that one paid off, you can cross it off your list, add to the next one. It can actually be quite fun. It can be quite fun to do that. And then, have a big poster board where you have the debts and crossing them off, or do some kind of thermometer kind of thing where you fill it in. If you got kids, have them help you. Let them see what you're doing. It's okay. It's okay. They could learn a valuable money lesson, which, sad to say, my kids did not learn the money lessons because we didn't get it together until later when they were like grown, and then after the divorce, it's like that was a whole nother thing for me where I got it together for myself. Now, I do have to say, if you are married, this is harder to do because when it's just you don't have to ask this other person. You don't have to try to get the cooperation of this other person to do this and to not spend beyond your 4 walls and any credit card debt that you have. It's hard. There are plenty of married couples that one wants to do it and the other one doesn't. It can be really, really hard. I went through 30 years of that. And until we found Dave Ramsey, that was the only one that my ex-husband could get behind. And I had every book, financial, that came out. I had every one of them on my shelf, and I had read them. But if you don't have a spouse that is cooperating with you, and they don't have the same mindset, it's hard. It is really, really hard. But I'm not saying it can't get done, because it can. You just have to get on the same page. But, do that for 3 months. Do it. Put that money aside. See how much that adds up to. See what your margin is between your needs and what actually comes in. You may be surprised. Now, when it comes to going to the grocery store, it is a statistical fact that Aldi saves you 36% on your grocery bill. Now, 36% is worth going there. If it was 5 or 10, 15, even 20, I wouldn't really be talking it up. But Aldi has really stepped up their game. Back when I first went there, I seriously thought, okay, this is for poor people. That's what I thought. This is for poor people to go grocery shopping, because back then there were no name brand anything in there. Everything was dirt cheap. I really didn't think the quality was that good, or I didn't think it would be that good. It ended up being better than I thought. But what I'm saying is, it is worth going there and checking it out. And if you have a family, my sister had 5 kids, and she would go to Aldi. I don't know how many of her kids went with her, but they would have 2 carts, and they would do all the shopping there. And that's where she went. Yeah. And I eventually went there, but I mean, they got organic stuff. Their produce is good. They have come a long way. So if it's been a while since you've been to Aldi, I would go there again and check it out. The Isle of Shame is wonderful. Oh my gosh. It's wonderful. There are so many cool things. Do I go through the Isle of Shame and probably buy something that I don't need? Yeah. But I actually figured this up. I have emergency savings of like 2 years as of right now. Now, when I buy this vehicle that I'm buying next month, I won't have 2 years anymore. But I think I still will have like a year and a half. And that's good. Susie Orman says to have 8 months. Dave Ramsey says 3 to 6, if it's just you, have 6 months. If you're married and your spouse has an income that can pay the 4 walls, if something happened to your job, 3 months might be sufficient. I have 2 years. And part of the reason, because I have 2 years, that is a big reason why I'm going to be able to pay cash for this car that I'm buying from my sister. And it's like, wow, it'll be the nicest car that I have ever had in my life. And I'm 67. And the car that I have now has heated seats, first car I've ever had that had heated seats. Now, a lot of you are younger than that, and maybe your parents had a car that had heated seats. You know, yeah, I had parents that had power seats, which I thought was pretty cool. You know, that was a big thing. I remember when cruise control came out. It's really dating me. But I remember that. And what I'm saying is, you know, I am just glad that I am going to be able to buy this car. And when you pay cash, whatever the amount is that you pay, that's how much you pay. But when you have a car payment, and you have a car payment for 4, 5, 6, 7, there are loans up to 8 years now. Do you know how much you're really paying for that car? Or that SUV or whatever? Oh my gosh. But when you pay cash, that's it. Also, if you are ever fortunate enough to pay cash for a house, which I know is next to impossible. It's not impossible, but it would be pretty difficult for most people in the United States to be able to do it. But if you did, I was in real estate. I had a couple that paid cash for a house. It was a $200 and some thousand house. And it was like, wow. Do you know what kind of closing costs they had? They had very, very little. When you look at the closing costs on the closing statement for a house, a lot of those closing costs have everything to do with the fact that you have a loan on that house. If you pay cash, oh my gosh, closing costs aren't near what they are when you have a loan. That's where the money goes. And so, yeah, hey, if you can pay cash, all more power to you. That doesn't happen very often, but it does happen because I was witness to it. And when you're the real estate agent and you're sitting at the closing table, you are seeing the closing statement. I saw all the numbers. I saw all of it. And I was like, wow, this is cool. I want to buy a house for cash. Now, when it comes to buying a house for cash, what I did is I bought in a small town. When you buy in a small town, as opposed to a big city, the costs are going to be less. You're not going to pay as much. I have a house down the street from me that is on a 2-acre lot. Big house, big garage, long driveway. Oh my gosh, it's gorgeous. So I looked it up on Zillow. It was between $300,000 and $325,000. But if you took that house and 2 acres that go with it, and you put that in the city of St. Louis, you're talking $500,000. You see what I'm saying? You can get more house, or you could get the house that you really want and pay a lot less for it. Now, you know, if you don't have a job in the town where you live, it's a small town, you may have to commute. You know, you may have some time on the road to get to that job, but you have the lower house payment. It's a trade-off. It is absolutely a trade-off of what you want to do. So, I just want to encourage all of you to really look at what your income is. Look at what your 4 walls add up to, and see what that margin is. How much do you have when you subtract? Eating out is very expensive. Entertainment is very expensive, you know? If you can't go to the theater to see a movie, with all the streaming services that are out there, there's plenty of movies that don't even go into the theater. They stream immediately. And then even in the movies that go into the theaters, they eventually are streaming. So there's plenty of movies to watch. You don't have to go into the theater. Now, if you do want to go into the theater occasionally, like I usually go once or twice a year into an actual theater. Number one, don't get any concessions. They cost a fortune. They absolutely cost a fortune. And if you have a family walking in, you're going to be dropping $50 to $100 at the concession stand. You don't want to do that. Get your ticket. Go in. Actually, what I did with my kids when they were little and it was summertime and there was some movie in the theater that they wanted to go see and it's really hot, so a theater is air conditioned. It's a nice place to spend an afternoon. Don't go at night. Go in the morning. Go in the afternoon. Matinee price. What we would do is there was a Casey's that was right close to, like across the street from the theater. And we would go to Casey's and I would go into Casey's and buy some candy bars that are like cheap compared to what you would pay at the concession stand. We would, because I didn't believe in taking food into the theater. I didn't feel right about that. So they would eat their candy bar before we went in to the movie. And I think that maybe, if I remember right, they got drinks at the drinking fountain. We went to see the movie. And then on the way home, I would stop at Casey's and they'd get a soda or something. That's what we did. They seemed to be okay with it. But it kept us from shelling out boatloads of money for popcorn and soda and candy bars and all that kind of stuff. Actually, where I lived before I moved here, it was interesting. They actually did not frown on you making popcorn at home, putting it in a brown paper bag and bringing it in. We did that a couple times and nobody said anything. We just brought our own popcorn. Now, oh my gosh, theaters have alcohol. They got like a whole bar in a theater. Can you imagine the amount of money that they spend? I think one time I was seeing a movie with two of my sons, and I was in a good mood, so I thought, I'll get a glass of wine. $10 for a glass of wine. When I just went to the grocery store and got a bottle that our wineries here actually have their wine in the grocery store for cheaper than if you buy it at the winery. And I bought a bottle of red wine for $6.29. And then I have a nice size wine glass, but it's a small one, where I think it probably is 5 ounces of wine. Well, 5 ounces of wine, one bottle of red wine, one bottle of wine. I think I can get, with this particular wine glass, I can get 4 glasses. And the wine, the bottle cost me $6.29. But you go into the theater and you get a glass of wine is $10. No. I did that one time. One time. And if I ever do anything like that, that is very, very special, very, very seldom. Because I do believe that, yeah, have a little fun every once in a while. I mean, that's why I will allow myself to go to a fast food place, drive-through, once a month. I enjoy it. I'm not doing it all the time, but sometimes it's just a convenient thing, but I limit myself to one time a month. That's it. And so it's fun. It's fun because I only do it the one time. Anything that is done to excess ceases to be special. It's not special. And I have come to really have a sense of that. The other thing I wanted to mention is I got a book. It's called Aware. And the guy who wrote it was on Dr. Phil's advisory board when Dr. Phil had his television show that I watched all the time. And he is I'm just now getting into it. And it talks a lot about meditation. It talks about mindfulness, focus. Some of these things are just things that need to be practiced. So this morning, what I was doing is I was doing breathing. Not any specific kind of breathing. It was just regular breathing. But I became focused on it. And I was noticing it. And you start to feel the air coming in and out of your nose. You feel your lungs expanding. All of a sudden, it was like, oh, I was calmed down. It was actually really amazing because our brains process so much, and I'm amazed by the human body. I always have been. My mom was a nurse. My ex-husband was a respiratory therapist. My partner is a surgical tech. And then a lot of his family are medical people, doctor, all kinds of stuff. And basically, I've always been fascinated by the human body, and to me, it's a miracle. It's a miracle. I think I might have felt that way after I had my first baby. When you go through creating life and that life growing in you and then giving birth, there is no greater miracle in the world than that. And I was absolutely amazed that my body could do that, that I had a hand in creation. That was amazing to me. But the most amazing part, besides the liver and what it does, is the brain. It's the brain. Think about what the brain does, how it processes, how you talk, how you think, what you remember. It is absolutely incredible. And so what I am going to be working on with this book is kind of expanding the mind. You're supposed to be able to actually grow your brain. And I'm sorry, but being 67, sometimes because I put something and I can't remember where I put it. And I talked to somebody about something and I can't remember who it was that I told that to. You know, a lot of times we can think that, oh, that's just part of getting older. Oh, yeah, that just happens. My doctor will say that to me sometimes, and that really bothers me because I don't think it has to be that way. And that's what this book is kind of saying. I think you can rejuvenate the brain, you know, make some new pathways. They say that when you learn to do something new, a simple thing like when you get, say you go from DirecTV to Dish Network, and all of a sudden you have a new remote, and the buttons are in different places, and you have to learn how to use this new remote. That is a good thing for your brain to have to do. It's also good to have repetition. That's a good thing too. There's a few different things. Actually, when it comes to walking, it's good to not always walk the same place. Walk somewhere different. See scenery that you've never seen before. That's good for your brain too. All those things are. So I'm really learning from this book, but I've only read a couple days. I got home on Tuesday, and I think I read yesterday morning and this morning. So I'm just now starting to get into this book. But it's pretty cool, and I'm really liking it. And I need all the help I can get with my brain. I don't want to feel like my brain is shrinking. I don't want to think about Alzheimer's or dementia or anything like that. I have got to stay on top of it, and I want to stay sharp. And I am going to work at doing that. So, you know, if you're still here after all this, I so appreciate it if you are. If you got value from this, hit the subscribe button, give me a like, give me a comment. Who knows, maybe you've read this book that I've just started. You know, how are you on your debt? Do you have money left over, or do you spend a boatload going out to eat every month? It adds up. It adds up. And that's why the money tracker is so important, because it's all written down and you can see what you've been spending, because a lot of people have no idea where all their money goes. So take care of the four walls, see what you have left, pay off debt, or start saving for that emergency fund. And once you have that emergency fund, 3 months, 6 months, 8 months, a year, I don't know, whatever you feel like you need to have, you know, start saving for the house. Make it a goal. You know, buying a house can be a dream, but until you have a plan to get there, it's just a dream. It becomes a goal once you have the plan on how to get there. You know, it's like when you look at your GPS. To get somewhere, the GPS has to know where you are right now to tell you how to get where you want to go. You have to know. And so it's a good thing. It's a really good thing. So, like I always say, use it up, wear it out, make it do, or do without. Till next time, bye.